Hey guys, Nick here. Quick introduction to Kerbal Space Program. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to hit Start Game. We're going to start a new game, and we're going to call it Intro to KSP. We're going to use Science Mode because I think that's the best way to introduce people to the game in terms of keeping the complexity down, but also giving some objectives to work towards, so that can be a lot less overwhelming than Sandbox and a lot less complicated than Career Mode. So we'll go to Start. Thanks, I've got it. Here is the Kerbal Space Center. There's a lot of stuff we can do here, but for now we're just going to go right into it. The vehicle assembly building is where we assemble the vehicles, so that's the fun part, and that's where we're going to start. So this is Werner von Kerman, the Nazi, so we're not going to talk about him. So this is the floor of the VAB. To start with, in order to manipulate this space at all, you need to start with a part. And the way the builder works is the first part you select becomes the root part, which centers the camera and centers the control of the vehicle and everything. So we're going to start with the command pod. And now that we have a command pod, we can right click to zoom around, to rotate the camera. We can shift and scroll to zoom in, zoom out. We can let go of shift and just scroll up and down, which comes in very handy later. So after a pod, the next thing we're going to need is fuel and an engine. So fuel tanks, we don't have any at this level of the game. The only thing we have is a solid rocket booster, which is both a fuel tank and the engine. So we're going to select that. And now you notice that green and black spheres pop up at the attachment points of the parts. So we just bring those spheres together and it snaps right into place. Left click and you've created a rocket. So this is the most basic form. We've got a pod and control. So the pod has all the instrumentation and equipment to control the ship, and then the thrust and acceleration comes from the solid rocket booster. But once we fire it up, it's going to come back down, and we're going to have a little Kerbal in there, and we want them to survive. So we come all the way down this list of part types to utility on the left, bottom left, and we find the Mark 16 parachute. And we're going to attach that to the top, just like we did before with the green and black circle spheres, and it just snaps into place. Left click. So this is it. This is what we're going to launch. We're going to check our staging. So every time you hit spacebar, you move to the next stage. So the first time I hit spacebar, once we're on the launch pad, the rocket engine is going to light. The next time, the parachute is going to become active, and we don't want that until we're on our way back down. So it's good that these are in two separate stages. I can add stages and I can subtract stages. I can move stages around. But for now, we want the rocket to be number 1 and the parachute to be 0. Then we're going to name it. So this will be test 1. And we'll save. And then we'll go to the launch pad. So that's that green button right there at the top right. So once we get to the launch pad, we see a different user interface. So just a quick rundown of the information you see. Starting from the top, we have the altimeter. So right now we're 74 meters above sea level, and our vertical speed is 0. Next, down here on the bottom left, we see the stages from earlier, and if you made a mistake back in the assembly building, you can adjust things here too. So it's always good to check before you press spacebar. Down here, a bunch of indications that we won't really need. The icons here, the only one we're going to use is toggle map. So eventually we're going to come down here and press toggle map to take us to a bird's eye view of everything. But that won't be till later. This is called the nav ball in the bottom middle of your screen. And you can hide it if it's in the way. What it does is it indicates where the ship is pointing. So right now the tip of the spacecraft is indicated by the dot in the middle, and it's pointed straight up, and you can see all this blue sky around you. On the left you see the throttle, and with a solid rocket engine it's not going to matter too much because it's just going to be 0 or 100%. And on the right you see the g-forces, so you get to see how much stress you're putting on your little Kerbal, and we can see our little Kerbal Jebediah down here on the bottom right. So before we get going, we're going to turn on the reaction control system, the RCS, and that'll help the rocket stay pointing where it's pointing. And then we're also going to turn on the stability assist system, the SAS, and that's like your autopilot. So that will help you steer the rocket later. But for now, all we'll need is just the little tilde here, the stability assist, so the basic mode. Okay, with that, I think we're ready to launch. So I'm going to hit spacebar to stage in 3, 2, 1, ignition. And you can see us launching off the launch pad. Down here on the bottom left, you can see the solid fuel running down. Our speed is going up, our g-forces went up, and then we ran out of fuel. And so now we're just coasting. And we'll coast up for a little while until we get to our max altitude. This is where we can go and check our map. So we'll toggle the map, and that takes us to a view of the solar system. And we'll just leave it focused on the planet Kerbin for now. Scrolling in, we can zoom in and see the position of our spaceship. Our Kerbal Space Center is down here, and we're approaching the top of our orbit. As you can see, we're not really orbiting. This is just a parabola. We don't get into orbit with such a little engine. But once we're at the top, we're going to start coming back down. And that's when we're going to need to activate our parachute. So I'll toggle the map off, and there's no real precision to it, just sometime before you start getting really fast. As you can see, we're falling back to the planet's surface now, and our speed is climbing up, and eventually it'll get too fast to activate the parachute. So I'm going to activate it now. And you can see the parachute now joins the rocket in the only stage, in stage 0. So they're both activated. And we'll come back to Earth. Or Kerbin, I'm sorry. So we'll warp ahead here to save some time. You see the parachute activates. It'll open up fully when we get a little closer to the ground. Sometimes there's some weird physics glitches. Go back to regular speed. And there we go. Parachute opens, and our rocket comes down almost right on top of the vehicle assembly building. Not ideal. So we're going to have to learn how to steer away so that we don't come down on the back on the Space Center. All right, so we can click the crew hatch, go on a little EVA, extravehicular activity, press space, we'll let go, and we'll use WASD to walk around. And then if I click Jeb, we can plant a flag to commemorate our landing. There we go. Site name, landing 1. Black text here. Brave Jebediah did land from his first successful mission. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's Kerbal Space Program, the very basics of Kerbal Space Program in a nutshell. Let me know what you think.